Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for joining me, Jag Singh, once again on Positive Minds. Positive Minds is a program in which I like to bring on inspirational and informative individuals who give us advice and tips on how we can better our lives and the people around us. After the show, you can download my ebook, Unbreakable. Unbreakable is a story, my true story, based on my childhood during the 1970s, where I grew up surrounded by racism, both in schools, around me in Canning Town in the 1970s. And the book illustrates how I got from there to here. Like I said, it's Unbreakable. You can download it after the show, ebook available on Amazon. Also, we're always looking for sponsors on Positive Minds. And so if you're interested and like to promote your business or company on Positive Minds, please email me directly, jagsing70@btinternet.com. That's jagsing70@btinternet.com, and we'll promote your services and your company. Now, back to today's show. Now, I know we've all been through a lot throughout the pandemic, and one thing that we all need to focus on is our mental health. And, you know, some people have got themselves back on track and some people are still struggling. So that's why I wanted to do a special show today about mental health issues. And with me today, I've got a mental health expert, Jessica Bowers. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us today on Positive Minds.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jessica. So, Jessica, we'll start from the top. Tell us about your qualifications regarding mental health, please.
Okay, well, I've worked within mental health for over 20 years now. After my first degree, I spent 13 years in a residential school supporting children with social, emotional and behavioural difficulties. And then, just over 10 years ago, I went back and trained as a counsellor and psychotherapist, which I've been doing ever since. So yeah, that's me really.
Excellent. And where did you receive your training and education, please, Jessica?
So I trained at the Sherwood Psychotherapy Training Institute, which is based in Nottingham, in the Midlands. A really great training institute for anyone that wants to do any training in that field. Absolutely recommend it.
Okay, so what would you say, Jessica, are the signs to look out to see that will tell us that child is suffering from mental health issues? With your expert advice, what would you say the signs that we need to look out for, please?
Well, I mean, I guess every child's unique and they present differently. However, I think what I'd be looking for is any significant changes in their behaviour, any significant changes in their capacity to deal with their emotions, any significant changes in their in their sociability, in their interactions, if they become much more withdrawn, things like that. I would say that they're the three key areas that I'd be looking at.
Thanks for that, Jessica. And what would you say is your best advice to say how parents can best deal with these issues when they can actually see these signs? What's the best way for the parents to deal with such issues?
I would say breathe, don't panic, reassure yourself, reassure your child, keep the communication open between you and your child. I mean, it's so powerful for them to know that you care, that you love them. You might not have all the answers, but you're going to help them. And, there's loads of support out there. Go and get help and support yourself. Go and speak to the school. If there's a great school with support systems in place, speak to your doctor. There are great organisations out there at the minute, both locally and nationally, that can support with these things.
Yeah, and you said something really good there, Jessica, which I picked up on, was the fact that when you know that your child suffers from some sort of mental health issues, the last thing we think about is ourselves. And you're 100% in what you said there. That's great advice. That we need to first of all get ourselves in a calm place and say, one way or another, we're gonna fix this, and deep breathing, taking it easy. You know that your child's got issues, because it can not only is the child going through what they're going through, the parent or guardian can also start feeling anxiety, stress. So as parents or guardians, we need to, you're right, we need to first of all look at ourselves as all right. Let's get ourselves in the right condition and mindset.
Yeah. Parenting is the most difficult job in the world, isn't it? And we need help and support. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And we're both parents, and we know you're right. There, it is a tough job in
Yeah.
itself if you want to get the children on the right mindset. And the other thing you said there, Jessica, which is really good as well, was that during the 1970s and 80s when I went to school, I had a really tough childhood. I was the only Asian in the whole
Yeah.
school, so obviously I faced a lot of bullying. And one thing
Yeah.
that I just wished for at that time was that there were some school counsellors or somebody whose door was always open I could walk into and say,
Mm,
I need help. But unfortunately,
yeah.
those services weren't available at that time. But today, and I can say this with a smile on my face, that we do have these services in schools. And if the
Yeah.
child doesn't
Yeah.
feel as if they can speak to the parent, is it right in saying that they can also approach teachers and counsellors?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the key difficulty. I think we can all face trauma. As if we've all faced this huge pandemic, which has been a global
Yeah.
trauma, and we're still recovering. And I think we can get through trauma if we are supported. It's when we're alone and when we feel alone and when we think we're the only people going through it is when it's even tougher, isn't it? Actually, when we can get support, when we can get help, and when we can, find the courage to share these things, that's when we can start to fight, get through, and recover.
And it's excellent to know that all these counsellors that have been put in place are all been trained, they're all experts, and
Mm,
it's whoever the child feels comfortable talking to, they talk to, whether it be a
yeah,
parent, someone at
yeah.
school. But please, would you agree that they must talk to somebody about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can really teach and educate our children to learn how to express their feelings and model that within the family. I think that's hugely important to really take the shame away. We all have huge
Yeah.
feelings. There's no feeling that nobody else hasn't experienced before. And I think if we can take the shame away from that and we can make reaching out to get support as a seen as a positive thing, then that's a real strength.
And that's an excellent point you just brought up there, Jessica, about just taking the shame away. Because I remember when I was going through a tough time in my life,
Ah,
it was a kind of a shame thing. I was very going through depression. But you know what I did, Jessica? I went out there and I
yeah,
done something about it, and I got therapy. And I'd say it right now on TV right now, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm not ashamed of it, but at that time I was. It's like I
yeah,
didn't have the courage to
yeah.
go forward. But when I did, because I thought I've had enough of this, I want to make this better. I deserve better. So
Yeah.
my advice to everyone is that therapy is the best
Oh,
thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and if I needed to have it again, I would not hesitate to have it again.
absolutely. That sent shivers down my spine, and I'm like so happy that you did that for yourself and you went through that and that you got that help. That's incredible.
And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, Jessica, was that they say that prevention is better than cure. And with
Mm.
parents bringing up younger children, is there any way that they can prevent or put something in place that will avoid their children having any mental health issues or make them think differently?
Okay.
Was there any
Well,
advice?
okay. Well, I think, what we can't do is we can't foresee the challenges that we're all going to face because we all face challenge. And I think the pandemic's shown us that. But what we can do is teach children and help them to build their resilience and develop their resilience. And I'm thinking about their emotional resilience. And I'm thinking about if we can make the home a safe place where they can share and express their emotions and get support with that and be shown how to do that in positive ways, whatever emotion it is, that they're not good and bad. They're just feelings, they're emotions. They're a great guide. We all have them. They always pass. And these are what we can do about them. Then I think that really is a great foundation for building emotional resilience, which is a really great foundation for showing children that whatever they're going through, that they've got some healthy skills and tools to support themselves with. So I think that would be my main piece of advice.
Great advice, Jessica. Great advice. And with myself, you're right there, Jessica. You're 100% right in what you're saying there because it's important for me as my children were growing up. I used to have this thing with them once or twice a week where I sat with them and it was undivided attention. And I wasn't
Yeah.
probing. I was lending my ears, like, "How's your week been? What you been up
Mm,
to?" Yeah, da da
mm,
da.
yeah.
And to me, that was undivided, which means although I was writing a book, I was doing radio presentations, TV, or whatever I was doing. The office was out of my head. The business was out of my head. This
Yeah.
is my child's time. This is my boy Josh's time. This is my girl Alicia's time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, I think that's helped a lot. Would you say?
I would 150% agree. You know, if we can have those precious times where the phone's away and we have, I'm not saying all the time, we're human, we're parents, we're busy, we're working,
We've got
but
things
if
to
we can
do. Yeah.
afford some quality time where we are present with them, that is a precious, precious gift. Absolutely. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful point there.
So, Jessica, you're not only a professional psychologist, I understand you're author as well. I can see at the background that you've got the fantastic Finn over there. Let's speak about your
Yeah.
well-being book for children, Fantastic Finn Faces His Fears. Tell me more about it.
Yes, it's my first. It's a picture book. It's a rhyming story, and it's aimed at 4 to 7 year olds, and it's really to help them, help children with building up their courage and their resilience, to face any challenges that they might have. So I researched the most common fears and worries that young children have, and I tried to include the main ones in the book and tried to show ways in which Finn overcame those challenges. Yeah, so really
What is
excited
the
about it, and yeah.
superb? And who is the character Finn based on? You told me on the phone. Is it your child?
Yeah, my oldest son, yeah, called Finn. And when he's
Boy.
8 now. Yeah, boy. And when he was younger, he was quite unsure and quite nervous about leaving me at the school gate, about starting activities, about, there was a few different things. And I used this strategy with him to help him to build his courage and his confidence. And it worked really well. And so he was my inspiration for this book.
Great. And as a mother and as a psychologist, you went out of your way, okay, to not only write a book which was going to help your child, but also to help millions of other children out there, Jessica. So, Jessica, well done. That's
Oh,
superb.
thank you. I'm very, very passionate about it. And yeah, I really, there's some tips in the back for children. There's a little fear fact file and there's some tips for parents too. And yeah, lots of free resources on my website as well to go with the book, like lovely activities to support the learning, embed the learning. So yeah.
And when we had a chat on the phone, I've discovered that you're not one of those people who finds a mountain, gets to the top of the mountain, then just stops there. You go and find a bigger mountain. Understand, you're not going to stop with Fantastic Finn Faces His Fear. You got other plans as well in writing, haven't you?
Yes, yes, that's the first in a collection with all different wellbeing themes, and I've written one based around my daughter. She inspired me. So yes, next I'll be kind of looking at publishing Fabfield Frankie's Huge Heart, and it will be about her dealing with separation and loss. So that will be the theme for the next one.
That's really good, Jessica. That's
Mm.
really good. How can people access the fantastic Finn Faces His Fears book? Someone sitting there right now said, "Oh, we want to go on Google and find it after the show, though, guys." But yeah, how can they track it?
It's available on Amazon. So if you just type my name in, Jessica Bowers, or you can go to my website and there's a link there, which is www.jessicabowers.co.uk. So, yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Now, Jessica, not only are you doing the great work you do as a psychotherapist, not only are you also writing your books, the Fantastic Finn series, working on them, also understand you write for a magazine as well. Tell me about that.
Oh, Storytime magazine is a wonderful magazine. So any parents out there with 3 to 9 year old children, it's a wonderful magazine filled with great stories. And what they do as well is they provide some brilliant resources for schools. A lot of schools nationally and internationally actually subscribe to them. And what we've done together is we've created a mental health pack called the Happiness Pack. And there's a lovely competition that runs alongside it as well. And there's loads of different activities in there that support building emotional resilience, inform about emotions. It's great. We're all really proud of it. So that's there and that's out now. I'm also doing a little section each month as well called My Mind Matters with them, because they're really keen on supporting mental health. And, stories are an amazing way of talking about difficult themes with children. Really, you can really gain deep understanding, I think, from stories. So I think it's a great match. Brilliant.
And I really do love the idea, Jessica, because it's engagement with the children. They're looking forward to getting the Storytime magazine, reading it with their parents, and it's all it's also is it also on the internet as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you can go online and have a look at Storytime magazine. They're doing a lot of online resources now, and and I think there's audio stories as well out now. So it's really worth checking them out if you're a parent, if you're a teacher. Really well worth it.
And that's good, Jessica, because I believe I've been saying that we all underuse Google for knowledge. It's just overused for things that just boring. I'm not going to give you any sort of self improvement or whatsoever. And I like that because the millennials of children of the coming age are all computers and oriented, and they can go onto their phone, onto the iPad, and they can actually read these stories. So that's excellent. That's superb. So that's a story time. That's story time, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Storytime magazine. Yeah.
Okay. So Jessica, with all this great work you're doing, let's go back to the start a little bit. What made you want to become a psychotherapist? How did it all begin?
I've always worked in the caring profession, and whilst I loved my work in the residential school, there was just something missing. And when I did my training, I felt like I'd really come home and found my feet and found my calling. And the writing's really just an extension of that. I'm very, very passionate about it.
You're doing great. You're doing a great job out there. And not only that, I mean, understand you're mother of 3 children. Is that right?
Yes. I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I've got an 18-month-old. He was actually born in the first lockdown in the April. So yeah, he's 1.5 now.
Oh, and with these children, I mean, how the hell are you keeping up with doing the writing, the psychotherapy work? I mean, how do you do it? Come on, tell us how you doing all this work.
The writing saved me. That I love writing. It fills me with joy, and I was literally writing during the pandemic, writing around the edges of the day. I escaped through that. So, it was my time. And actually, that's how it's all started, because of that, because of the challenge of the pandemic and me looking for something that was an outlet for my mental health. So that's how it all started, which is great. So that's how I fit it in, really, because I love it.
You have to love it. You have to love it to be part of it. And what you
Yeah.
just said there, Jessica, was that during the pandemic, you saw a window of opportunity and you started your writing. And I've spoken to so many people, and during the pandemic, some people have written songs, they've written scripts, they've written books. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
it's
great.
finding the window of opportunity. And what I like to say to everyone out there, just like Jessica found the window of opportunity, we can still find that window of opportunity every day, but I think it's a bit more about time management. I mean, you must have to, you know exactly what I'm talking about, what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Time
And
management.
yeah, and deadlines. That's another one. I mean, I get lots of deadlines every week, and sometimes I say, and I've reached a point now, just because I said to myself, if I can't make the deadline, I can't make the deadline, because
Well, you're
nothing
human,
beats my
aren't
mental
you?
health.
Yeah. You're human, and I've learned, like everybody, the hard way. The self-improvements I've made have come from not only from my training and my learning, but also from, finding things tough and getting it wrong and breaking my back doing things and realizing I can't do it all, and having to slow down. I think the biggest change, the best thing that we can do for ourselves is kind of care for ourselves, you know, be compassionate to ourselves, learn to be kind to ourselves. And that kind of includes, that improves everything, you know. If we can be kind to ourselves, then we put the boundaries in, we put the self-care in, we look after ourselves, we can nurture ourselves through anything, you know. I think it really makes a
And just
difference.
what you're saying there is smack bang on, because like I said before, when I never knew that I could actually chill out a little bit in my life, it was like, well, I've got this deadline and I've got to get this done. And when I didn't make the deadline,
Yeah,
it was like,
yeah,
I used to beat myself up. And I reached a point now
yeah,
where, okay, I agree everybody should work hard, right? Nothing is
yeah,
achieved without hard work, but there's got to be a time to rest. And if you don't make
yeah,
it, if you don't make a
absolutely.
deadline and don't make a goal, so what? Try again.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the best thing, you know, the best things come from failing. There's the success and failure are two sides of a whole. They're two parts of a whole, and you know we have to fail to succeed. And I think if we can tell that to children as well, they'll be onto a winner. Because if they fail, they'll just see it as something to learn from rather than something to feel so ashamed about, and it will make all the difference. I've learned that the hard way too.
I mean, I come from a culture where there's a lot of pressure about getting the top marks in school or top grades in school. I mean, get
Yeah.
me right. Everybody, as I said before, everybody has to work hard. But with me, Jessica, I always say to my children, I don't care if you get an A, B, or a C. All I want to know is that you tried your best. That's all I want to know. I
Yeah,
don't. It doesn't A, B, or
absolutely.
C don't bother me at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think that mental health is much more important. But yeah, of course, you know, academia is important, and we want to grow children, to really reach their potential. But it's got to be done in a holistic, balanced way, hasn't it?
When you was back to your book again, I'm just looking at the book at the back. I love that cover; it's superb. When you was writing your book, what kind of challenges did you come across?
Well, I'd never done anything like it before. And, initially it was my self confidence. It was, can I do this? When I was little, I thought that writing a book or doing all sorts of wonderful things like that were just for an elite few, just for other people. And so the biggest challenge actually was myself and my own confidence. And I really worked hard on that. And to own my experience and my qualifications as well. And I think once I allowed that, and I went out and found out how to do it and got the support from Team Author UK that helped me develop this, and I got the support. Andrew Whitehead is an amazing illustrator. He's made this top class. He's a wonderful.
He's done a
Wonderful
great job.
artist and illustrator. He's done an amazing job. Yeah. So yeah,
Yep.
www.since6.com. Please go and have a look at his stuff. It's great. But yeah, I was the hurdle. And once I realised actually I'm passionate about this, I can do this, I want to help and support people. Once I decided that, it was easy. It's hard work, but easy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Just because I tell you what, there's a lot of people out there, okay, who would have stopped at the first hurdle, and a lot of people do. Like you said, there you didn't have the confidence you thought. Can you imagine living in a world where you had just actually given up and not bothered going forward? And you are the perfect example of the fact that all right, okay, you sit there, you doubt yourself. I mean, I doubted myself when I was going to write a book. A
Yeah.
book? Me? How can I write a book? What? Of all you
Yeah.
having a laugh?
Oh, I
I
can't
can't do
wait to
it.
look at your book, by the way. Can't wait.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And just like yourself, I was that hurdle as well. I was thinking, well, I can't write a book. I can't go ahead and do this. But I think that's where you have to lift yourself up. You lifted yourself up, and you said, well, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. I don't know how, but I'm sure
Yeah.
if I make the
Yeah.
effort and I say to myself, I can do this, help will come.
Yeah. Absolutely. And be open to it. And also, not to be, I worked through the disappointments. And if I didn't hear back from people or, didn't get a response or got any little rejections, I just thought, okay, well, that's not meant for me, but to keep going. Yeah, and being open to that and putting myself out there was how I started the collaboration with Storytime, and I'm so grateful. You know, if I hadn't been confident enough to share my experience with them, you know, we wouldn't have developed this, and I'm so pleased we have.
And on that point, I'd just like to just say very quickly, I think it was Stephen King, a well-known writer, he used to have a nail in his wall. He used to have a nail. And every rejection letter he got, he used to put on a nail. Eventually, the nail got totally
Wow.
full up with rejections. And he didn't. Now, at that point, Stephen King, just like yourself, could have said to him, "You know, I'm going to give up. There's too many rejections." But instead, he went and got a longer nail.
Oh,
And I
wow, I
love
didn't
that
know that
story.
story. That's awesome. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that.
He said, "I'm
Yeah,
going to get a
yeah,
longer
get a
nail."
bigger
And he's
nail.
still can.
Yeah. Well, he's phenomenal. My husband's literally we've got 2 shelves of books up there of his. So, yeah.
And
Wow.
that illustrates the fact, really, that, you know, if he had faith in himself, he believed in himself, and he thought he
Mm,
could do it. And not only did
mm,
he stop when the nail was full up with all the letters of rejection, he took it off and he went and got himself a longer nail. And that's our
yeah,
advice to everybody out there. Everybody, you're right. What you said
yeah.
there, rejection. I mean, I've got a video that I've done on my YouTube, which is like, you know, become a collector of rejections, become a collector of failures, because each failure brings you closer
Mm,
to your goal.
yeah,
And the challenges,
yeah.
the main challenges, like you said as well, Jessica, are us in our head. That's the
Mm.
first challenge you have to face,
Yeah,
doing something big.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, we all need help and support from other people too. It's an interdependence, I think this is. It's the same with mental health support. You know, we all have mental health. We need to know we need to know we've got our own internal resources, but we also need to be able to reach out. So it's not complete independence. I can do it all myself because no one can. It's not complete dependency. I mean, for children it is. It's different. Talking about as we grow, it's this healthy interdependence. And you know, for anything we're doing, I couldn't have done this book without my husband's support, without the support of other people. But also, I needed to get over my own barriers too. So it was a real, you know, team effort.
And another thing that comes to mind there is, Jessica, how do you defeat a person who refuses to fail?
But there you go.
How can you defeat a person who refuses to fail? And that is the
Yeah.
attitude that I'd like to send out to everybody out there. And that is that, you know, just
Mm,
refuse to fail. I mean, there's some cultures haven't even got the words depression or failure in their vocabulary. You speak to these people
mm,
and they will have a clue what you're talking about. And maybe we need to do the
mm.
same. You know, failure is not an option, and you're going to keep on moving forward. I mean, what really I find interesting now, Jessica, is that how the world has changed from the 70s, and I keep going back to the 70s and 80s because I think it was a terrible time when children were
Mm.
suffering from mental health issues, and yeah, the teachers weren't there, and you know, certain support wasn't there at that time because
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
a taboo subject kind of thing. You know, if he's depressed, he's got
Yeah,
something wrong with him or whatever.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And when it's universal, we've all got mental health. You know, it's a subject for us all, isn't it? And it's so
Okay, Jessica,
important.
listen,
I
I've
was
just
a
been
little
told.
girl. Oh, oh.
Oh, sorry, just been told. I've just been told I've got 1 minute left. Listen, how can people contact you for support?
Okay, so you can get me on Twitter at Bowers Wellbeing. You can get me Jessica Bowers Wellbeing Writer on Facebook or Instagram. You can go to my website.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that.
And she's
Cheers.
gone.
Thank you very much.
He's
So there
gone.
you go, guys. So there you go, guys. Jessica Bowers on today speaking about mental health. Okay, so everybody out there, please just take this great advice from me. That is, please don't suffer in silence. We live in a great time now, where you know we got so much support out there. Just reach out, speak to someone around you, and get some support. I'd like to thank you all for joining me today and my guest Jessica Bowers on Positive Minds. Please keep smiling and keep on moving forward. वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह